Welcome. Today we're looking at Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2 HD Remake that launched into Xbox Game Pass. It's more of a remastering of the original games that launched on the PS2 a long, long time ago. So the only thing optimized for this game is HDR, and it does make the game look that much better. Now, the HD version of this game doesn't make the graphics better. It's still the same polygon count from the PS2 era, but the artwork is that much more noticeable because of the higher resolution. But again, I don't want to stress that. I want to stress that resolution alone doesn't make a game better. Graphics make a game better. Now, the graphics in this game are the same as they are, or they were on the PS2, but you can see much more now because it's been cleaned up. Now, it doesn't make the game better. The gameplay is still the same. The frame rate hasn't really been optimized for the Xbox Series console, so it's hard to tell whether or not it's actually better or not, especially since you don't really have control of the camera in this game. It's static. It's a static camera. The backgrounds aren't static. They're fully 3D, but you don't really have control over it. But the game does feel much more fluid than it did, and I remember playing it way back when on the PlayStation 2 when it launched. It was one of those big games for the PlayStation 2, one of those exclusive games from a third party that really helped push the PlayStation 2, brought it time until those exclusives came. That sounds very familiar to this generation, doesn't it? But I will say that the addition of the Auto HDR really feels good here. I mean, playing the game, a lot of the colors, again, HDR, but the colors and the lighting, everything just looks really clean now and really good. I wouldn't say that it's making this game feel like a new game, like a lot of the the frame rate boost does, or the Auto HDR when it's coupled with games that were maybe a generation ago, but a few generations ago games, it helps them. But unless you're a huge fan of this series, this is probably the best way to play it. And again, it's in Game Pass, so why not check it out? So here I am. I'm not a big fan of turn-based games at all. I actually hate turn-based combat. I just don't enjoy it at all. I'd rather have real-time or like a pseudo-real-time. But this was the big leap for Final Fantasy on the next generation PlayStation 2. It's funny to look back and think that this was the high watermark graphically. But it was. And it's not bad by any means. Like the backgrounds here, when you see the city, everything looks much better because it's been cleaned up. And again, that resolution. There's sort of like a halfway point between resolution making a game better. I don't like to say that because it really doesn't. And I think about current gen games that are coming out that just graphically look amazing, but they're not native 4K. So it's very difficult to use resolution today to make games better. But I think if you take older games and you make them a higher resolution, sometimes you'll notice things that make the experience of playing them better, not necessarily the game. Like, for instance, the cutscene here just looks so clean. Really, really good, right? Square is known for their CG cutscenes. Everything looks great. So we'll transition here back into some gameplay soon. This looks really, really good. I'm having a good time playing it. But again, I don't know if I'm going to go through it again because I just can't stand random battles. Just really don't like them. But I'm surprised at the cutscene here, how clear. And again, I don't know. Well, I do know that the frame rate isn't optimized, but I think that, again, because it's running on the Series S, the frame rate is probably much better just because the hardware is much better. All right, here we go. Yeah, so the lighting and the city, all that stuff just looks better. It's probably and this is an old game. I mean, the HD version of Final Fantasy X and X-2 came out a while ago. It came out on, I think, the PlayStation 3 also, and the PlayStation 4. It may have come out even on the Xbox before Game Pass. I believe it did. I'm not sure about that, but it is in Game Pass today. You can play both games, so it's over, it's hundreds and hundreds of hours of gameplay between both games. And if you're a fan of JRPGs, then this is the one that most people love, among others. A little bit of story here. I hate when you get these like white screens with nothing on it and just like words and texts. Kind of pulls you out of it, but
I wanted someone, anyone.
so yeah, everything looks pretty good.
So I didn't have to feel alone.
Again, the HDR is just making the game better looking, and then the HD upscaling of the game helps as well. This is the first time, though, I think this game has HDR implemented into it by way of the auto HDR feature for the Xbox Series consoles. So it's worth checking this out on the Xbox Series consoles and Game Pass. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Think about liking and subscribing and sharing out on your favorite social media platform of choice. I appreciate it. Thank you.